hardly 10 trees are there. Because of their lesser number, you are allotting them a lesser area. Okay. These 10 trees are the producers. I mean, they belong to first trophic level here. Okay. In the next tier, second trophic level organisms comes. What are the second trophic level organisms here? Second trophic level organisms are supposed to be the primary consumers. What is their number? Their number is 100. When their number is 100, you have to allot them the more area. Based on the number, you are allotting the area here. In the next tier, third trophic level organisms comes. Third trophic level organisms are supposed to be the secondary consumers. Okay, what about the number of secondary consumers? Number of secondary consumers is just 1000. 1000 means, okay, you are still allotting more area. Next comes fourth trophic level organisms. What are the fourth trophic level organisms here? Fourth trophic level organisms are tertiary consumers like bugs. I mean bacteria here. Okay, how many bacteria are present here? 10,000. 10,000 means you are still allotting more area. Like this. Based on the number, you are allotting the area. Okay, based on the numerical relationship of the organisms belongs to various trophic levels. If you draw the pyramid, this pyramid will take inverted shape. That's why we call this as inverted pyramid. Remember, inverted pyramids are going to be obtained in case of parasitic function. In your examination, you should be asked, describe. 5 marks if you do. Describe inverted ecological pyramid of number. Inverted ecological pyramid of number. Okay? Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Now, with this I completed ecological pyramids. And the last topic that has been left in this chapter, that is ecosystem, biogeochemical cycles. I know the heading. Biogeochemical cycles. I would like to give you a very brief introduction of that. Afterwards, I am going to explain them in details. Have you heard of these biogeochemical cycles? Even in your QC second year also you came across biogeochemical cycles. There also you have studied most of the concepts that I have explained. Nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, water cycle, okay, even phosphorus cycle, sulfur cycle, you all came across this. They are the examples for biogeochemical cycles. Here, bio refers to organisms. It's the living things. Geo means the earth. Geo means the earth. Chemical cycle. certain chemical elements maybe nitrogen, carbon, then water, phosphorus, sulfur, magnesium, etc. Just I am taking only the names of few chemicals or chemical elements. The chemical elements which are present in the earth are just moving to the organisms. But they are not going to be retained in the organisms at all. After the death and decay of the organisms, the chemical elements which are retained in the organisms are again coming back to the earth. Means here a kind of movement of chemical elements takes place between earth and organisms in the form of cycles. The cycling movement of chemical elements between earth and organisms constitutes biogeochemical cycles. Write down the definition. Biogeochemical cycles. Biogeochemical cycles constitute cyclic movement of chemical elements, cyclic movement of chemical elements between earth and organisms. Okay, this is how we define biogeochemical cycles. Okay, there are three kinds of biogeochemical cycles. Means the chemicals that are moving between the earth and the organisms are usually categorized as cycles into three types. No doubt here cyclic movement occurs, and these cycles are categorized into three types. The cycles of very first type are usually referred as gaseous cycles. Then the second type of biogeochemical cycles are usually referred as sedimentary cycles. Then the cycles of the third type is referred as the hydrologic cycle. Okay, let me consider the gaseous cycles. The name itself suggests certain chemical elements, they move between the earth and organisms in the form of cycle. But these chemical elements predominantly moves in the form of gases. If the movement of chemical elements takes place in the form of cycles, we categorize such biogeochemical cycles as gaseous cycles. For example, you consider nitrogen cycle. Even you also consider the carbon cycle. How the nitrogen moves from earth to organisms is mainly in the form of gas. You all know that usually there in the earth, the atmosphere constitutes more than 70% of nitrogen. Nitrogen is mainly present in the form of gas. Okay, that gas is converted by the organisms in the form of what you call as ammonium salts or even in the form of nitrates. Okay, the nitrogen gas that is present in the earth is just going to move from earth to organisms and again from organisms back to the earth. What exactly happens is when the death and decaying of the organisms take place at that time, usually the nitrogen present there in the organisms may be directly released as nitrogen gas, or it may be released in the form of what you call as the ammonium gas. Okay, here the cyclic movement occurs in the form of gas. Like that, even if you consider the carbon cycle, usually in the earth, carbon is present predominantly in the form of carbon dioxide. What the plants does is they are going to absorb the carbon dioxide gas present in the atmosphere and fix it in the form of carbohydrates, and that carbohydrate later move to the animals. As and when the death of the organisms takes place by the oxidation of what you call as organic compounds, again carbon dioxide is getting released. Means here carbon is going to be cycled in the form of what you call as a gas. Such cycles are referred as gaseous cycles. Second kind of cycles are called as sedimentary cycles. Sediment means the deposit. Usually certain elements are deposited in the earth crust in the form of minerals. Remember, minerals are a kind of sediments. For example, if you consider phosphorus, sulfur. Phosphorus is usually present in the form of phosphates. Sulfur is present in the form of sulfates. They are the minerals that are available in the earth. What the plants does is they are going to absorb the phosphorus in the form of mineral, that is phosphates, and give it to the animals. After the death and decay of the organisms, again phosphorus is coming back to the what you call as earth crust. Here movement of the chemical elements takes place in the form of minerals or sediments. That is why we refer such cycles as sedimentary cycles. Cycles of the third type, hydrologic cycle. Hydro means water. Certain chemical elements are going to move between the earth and organisms in the form of water. Predominantly the hydrogen as well as oxygen. These are the two important elements required for the organisms. How they move? You all know that hydrogen and oxygen, they are usually moving between earth and organisms in the form of water. Suppose if chemical elements are going to move in the cyclic path in the form of water, okay, that constitutes what you call as hydrologic cycle. Okay, you are going to study few gaseous cycles, few sedimentary cycles, including the one that is hydrologic cycle. In the next class, I am going to take up the gaseous cycles. Okay, any notes with this? Any notes in the today's topic? Is it clear?